143. The greatest utility of polytheism. For the individual to set up his own ideal and derive from it his laws, his pleasures, and his rights, that has perhaps been hitherto regarded as the most monstrous of all human aberrations, and as idolatry in itself. In fact, the few who have ventured to do this have always needed to apologize to themselves, usually in this wise: not I, but a God, through my instrumentality. It was in the marvellous art and capacity for creating gods in polytheism that this impulse was permitted to discharge itself. It was here that it became purified, perfected, and ennobled, for it was originally a commonplace and unimportant impulse, akin to stubbornness, disobedience, and envy. To be hostile to this impulse towards the individual ideal, that was formerly the law of every morality. There was then only one norm, the man, and every people believed that it had this one and ultimate norm. But above himself and outside of himself in a distant overworld, a person could see a multitude of norms. The one God was not the denial of blasphemy of the other gods. It was here that individuals were first permitted. It was here that the right of individuals was first respected. The inventing of gods, heroes, and supermen of all kind, as well as coordinate men and undermen, dwarves, fairies, centaurs, satyrs, demons, devils, was the inestimable preliminary to the justification of the selfishness and sovereignty of the individual. The freedom which was granted to one god in respect to other gods was at last given to the individual himself in respect to laws, customs, and neighbours. Monotheism, on the contrary, the rigid consequence of the doctrine of one normal human being, consequently the belief in a normal God, beside whom there are only false spurious gods, has perhaps been the greatest danger of mankind in the past. Man was then threatened by that premature state of inertia, which, so far as we can see, most of the other species of animals reached long ago. As creatures who all believe in one normal animal, an ideal in their species, and definitely translated their morality of custom into flesh and blood. In polytheism, man's free thinking and many-sided thinking had a prototype set up, the power to create for himself new and individual eyes, always newer and more individualized, so that it is for man alone, of all the animals, that there are no eternal horizons and perspectives.